tutorial starts with a song, but it's only a few seconds long.
Computer animation. Computer animation. Computer animation.
Let's get started with animation. Ni hao. Hi there. I hope everything is fine. And here is an animation, very brief clips actually from a single animation, where a creature walks in a half circle. So here he is. It's an overcast sky. That's why the light is rather dull. That's the same animation from the top and with a wide angle lens from one of the sides. So he makes a left turn. Now I'll show you the same creature in the same scene doing a right turn. And now he's going straight and then he's turning left when he reaches the trees. Actually, he walks a little bit through the trees. I didn't care about that. And here he walks pretty much straight through one of the trees. Now, this was an overcast light and only one single light source rendered in Arnold with a GPU. And the same here, but the overcast, I reduced the overcast intensity quite drastically, so you don't see that bright blue anymore. And I introduced the spotlight, which moves with our character. And as you can see, in the previous animations, he was walking in the center of the scene, and now he's at the side of the scene. And now he does a zigzag walk between the trees. So he's walking in totally different ways. And I show you how to do this using a plugin which I got through a comment to one of my videos, really. In my channel, I have 2 videos which deal with making a character walk around a curve. And they were hard to do for me. One is just a simple tool which does not really serve the purpose for high-class animation because the feet are not planted, but it's good for computer games where the characters just rotate in sort of 45-degree angles or whatever. And the other one was really tedious, doing it by hand with animating the hips and the feet and planting the feet, etc. And then I got this comment by Pavel Barnev. He said, for bending animation along path without leg sliding, without the sliding leg, which is a crucial problem in computer animation, use this tool. And he gave me the link to his channel. This is his channel. You can see he does mainly character animation, and he has, under videos you find that, several things about moving characters around a bend. For example, this one. So I said, well, Pavel, can you hand me over that script, which is, I think, it costs a few dollars or whatever. But he gave it to me for free, and I tried it out, and I was kind of amazed and frustrated in the same way until I found, we communicated quite a bit, until I found out that what it's good for. When you load the plugin from Pavel into your scene, you just drag and drop it somewhere here, and then under custom you find his script. It's right here, and when you click on it, it looks like this. It's called the Walking Bend Tool version 1.1, and we're in late October 2020. Maybe he'll work on that plugin or he'll leave it, whatever. And it's a basic tool for creating a curve and animating a character to walk along a curve without sliding feet. So the character plants the feet. All right. Here you see 2 tabs. One is the base pipeline, and here are the instruments. I'm just concentrating on the base pipeline and only on these 2 sections here. And you work yourself from the top to the bottom. And you start with every, say, 20 frames, depending on the complexity of the walk. from, for example, start to end, create a curve from an animation. So that's the first step we're going to take. The second step is then we select a curve, and that's that curve we created from the animation, or a curve which we painted into the scene. So once we've set that curve, we will now attach the object to that curve. And that's the main part here of this quite amazing tool. Okay, I minimize this and I go to Windows and Settings, Preferences, and the Settings. And I want to make sure that it's set to meters rather than centimeters, because in character animation we deal with meters. This is 1 meter here and not 1 centimeter. Then I go to Windows, General Editors, and the Content Browser. And in the Content Browser you find under Animation FBX files. And one of the FBX files here is the walk. You just double click it and it lands in the scene. Pavel's tool wants me to create a curve first. So let's reopen it. And it wants to have, for example, from the start to the beginning, create a curve from an animation. In order to create a curve from an animation, you need some keyframes down here. For example, the hip has these markers here. So let's create a curve from the hip animation. And you see he pretty much walks forward. Now we can set this curve as the curve where we want him to walk along and later bend that curve. So let's click here, because we selected that curve. It's called curve number 1, and now it is the curve where the character walks on. The character still does not walk along that bend. And the reason is that we need to constrain him to that curve with the walking bend tool. So this is the first step, was create a curve from the animation. The second step is define the curve we want to work with. And now the third thing, and that's the final thing, is we want to constrain an object to the curve. So what is the object? Well, this depends a little bit. The hip is not bad, and let us open the whole section here. The left foot, which you can see here, and the right foot are good as well. So these are the 3 things we want to constrain, and we select Object to Curve now. And now the screen goes gray, and after a few seconds it reappears. For reasons I don't know, I have really big slide locators here, which I can scale down. These are the constrained parts, really. And now you make that character walk along that curve, and now you just select it again, press the key F8 to get the components, and now when you move the end of that curve to the side, you see that the rest of the curve stretches with it. And that's because Pavel tries to keep the length of that curve constant, so that we don't run into problems with too big or too small steps. So let me move it just over here and see what he does. And he walks around that corner. Isn't that amazing? Let me pick this one, and with the cursor key we can go to the next one, and he walks along that curve. There is a little bit of foot sliding here, which we don't see in this example, but if we would make it more extreme, we could. And that would involve extra work. But for a starting point, this is just excellent. For the animation which you saw at the very beginning, I chose a character which does not walk. He just has a walk cycle. And let me show you that. Because actually Pavel told me the best way to use his tool is from a walk cycle. So I searched for walk cycle and I found Jonathan Simmons' website, and he has a lot of animations here. For example, this is the Game of Thrones, I think, the dragon. And down here you have that dog walking. And now we get to the interesting part, for us, interesting part, that's this guy here. And you can download the Caveman 36 frames walk cycle and import it into the scene. And that's what I did, and that's what I'm doing now. You just use this folder with the Caveman and the textures into your current project, and then you open that file. It tells us that the file contains mental ray nodes. This is quite common with older animations. And now you see his walk cycle. So he's sliding, his feet are sliding, but he walks pretty much unrelaxed. So this is a walk cycle, and you find tons of tutorials. They're basically the same for all kinds of 3D computer animation packages with how to create walk cycles, and this is just one of them. Now we need an animation curve in order to use the curve tool now, and to convert a walk cycle into an actual walk, a straight walk, which is an ideal beginning for this plugin. We just go to the side window in this case. I think this is a good one. And here we see him. And now we select his main part, the main node, which we can move to the side. And we go to the very beginning of the animation. Actually, there are keyframes here which I can delete because I don't know why they're there. Delete, and here's one at the very end. I delete this too. I go to the very beginning and I press Shift W. I could press S for keyframe, but Shift W just keyframes the translation of this character. Actually, I could go to like 120 frames, go to the end here, and move this character over here. I don't know what this is. This sometimes happens, especially with older characters. I have auto keyframe on here. If you don't have this on, you need to press Shift W or S again here to have this keyframe. Now you can check whether he walks. No, he slides, but he sort of walks. We need to go to the animation editors and open the graph editor, because you see here that he's slowly starting his walk and slowly ending his walk. So let's select this curve and click here. This makes this fade in, fade out curve a straight curve, because we want a straight walk. It doesn't look much different, but a little bit. And now from his feet, you see he slides slightly to the back. What you do now is you just adjust this, moving it a little bit to the right or to the left. So he slides even more. That's why we go to the end again and move it over here. Looks much better. He's still sliding. Let's go to the end and move him over here. Even better. And this looks okay now. So we have a character walking. He walks in a straight line. So I have him selected. That's the main node now. It's a little bit different from the generic Maya FBX files where you select the hip ideally. But now you can open the script with a walking bend, and let's do it every 10 frames, or well, 20 frames is okay. And from the start to end, and we create a curve from the animation of this selected object. And now you see that straight curve. That's basically the same curve we had with our previous example. Now we want to select this curve here. We click here. It's curve number 16 because I tried out several things, or maybe because there are several curves in this scene which I haven't seen before. Maybe all these things are curves. So it's curve number 16 which we need here, the curve number 16. And now we'll need to assign this character and the feet to our curve. We need to select the character. Then with the shift key we select the foot and the other foot. And now we click Object to Curve. Now nothing has changed. He still walks along that line, but now we can manipulate that line just as we did before. So let's select it, press the key F8 to see the components, and make him move around that bend. You see already he turns. Now let's check the feet. So we started with a walk cycle, a character walking just on one spot. We created an animation from it in a straight line, and now we were able to bend it. If we lift this, for example here, what happens? The character walks up, and he sort of bends down when he's walking down, and these are the things which you can control with the instruments section here. Before we quit, I show you how Pavel uses terrain and creatures with more than 2 legs. The spider looks a little bit odd, but maybe it's quite amazing how he does that. And it's a big MEL-Script, my embedded language script, and I think it's absolutely worth trying it out and using it for characters walking around curves. That's lovely, isn't it? How the horse rotates. This is magic. Well, thank you, Pavel, for the communication we had, and thank you for this tool, and you all have a nice day. Bye-bye.